What happens when the strongest employee in the company quietly decides, I don't want to be just an employee anymore? What if the one person holding up more than half of the company's revenue is already preparing to walk away and start his own empire? Today on StarWatch Now, we're diving into one of the most talked about questions in Chinese entertainment. Backhand index pointing right, will Wang Yibo renew his contract with Yuehua Entertainment? Or is he getting ready to become his own boss for good? Stay with me because this story is not just about a contract. It's about freedom, power, loyalty, business, and how one young man is changing the rules of the game. Before the headlines, before the stock charts and contract rumors, there was simply a teenager standing in a practice room, trusting a company with his future. Wang Yibo entered Yuehua as one of many hopefuls, learning to dance, rap, act and perform under the same fluorescent lights as countless others. At that time, he was not a pillar of the company. He was just another boy trying to prove he deserved a place on stage. What makes his story powerful is the distance between where he started and where he stands now. Over the years, every rehearsal, every supporting role, every variety segment slowly shifted the balance. Bit by bit, he stopped being just one of them and became the one they relied on. Without any loud announcements, he evolved into an artist whose name could move ratings, shape public opinion, and, eventually, influence the financial health of the very company that had once trained him. The title changed quietly. From trainee to important artist, to the person many investors watched more closely than the company itself. And behind that transformation is a simple human truth. Sometimes the person who begins with the least power becomes the one holding everything together. In the entertainment industry, distance does not always appear in official statements. It often shows up first in the smallest details that fans notice long before the media reacts. People began to observe that Wang Yibo did not follow his company's main social media accounts, that the number of posts about him seemed sparse and unusually formal. For a casual observer, this might mean nothing. For a devoted fanbase, it felt like a change in the atmosphere. At the same time, speculation about his contract status started to surface online. Was he planning to renew when the time came? Or was he quietly preparing to move on? These were not simple fan fantasies. They became questions serious enough to affect how investors viewed the company. Each new rumor brought a wave of volatility to the stock price, as if the market itself was holding its breath, trying to read between the lines. Nobody publicly confirmed a breakdown, yet the combination of public distance, cautious wording, and financial reaction created a story of its own. It suggested a relationship under strain, not explosive or dramatic on the surface, but tense enough that any hint of change sent shockwaves through both fandom and capital. Sometimes, the loudest warning signs are the ones never clearly spoken. While the public focused on dramas, red carpets, and variety clips, another narrative was unfolding quietly in the background. As early as 2018, Wang Yibo was reportedly setting up his own studio, not as a symbolic label, but as a functional base for his creative and commercial activities. Structurally, this meant more than a personal logo. It meant a framework through which projects, partnerships, and income could be managed under his own name. Alongside this, companies related to him began registering a wide range of trademarks connected to his identity. This is the kind of work most fans never see. Legal paperwork, branding strategy, long-term planning that stretches far beyond the life of a single drama or album. It shows a mindset that does not simply wait for opportunities, but quietly constructs the infrastructure to receive them. This 7-year arc paints a picture of an artist who understood that fame is fragile, but a well-built system is not. Instead of waking up one day and suddenly deciding to leave, he appears to have spent years ensuring that, if he ever chose a different path, he would not be stepping into emptiness. He would be stepping into something he had carefully, patiently prepared with his own team. Every contract begins as a formal agreement. Services, obligations, duration, compensation. Yet, over time, especially in entertainment, these documents grow roots in real emotions. When a young artist signs as a minor, there is often a degree of parental trust, guidance, and even affection involved. In Wang Yibo's case, early descriptions of his relationship with the company's leadership spoke of responsibility, care, and a sense of having been entrusted with a life. As his star rose, that relationship inevitably shifted. The company supported him, promoted him, placed him at the center of major projects. In return, he offered them visibility, credibility, and, according to public financial analysis, a very significant share of revenue. For many years, it looked like a mutually beneficial partnership. However, when one person begins to generate such a large portion of the value, the emotional balance also changes. Questions arise. Is he still just an employee or something closer to a partner in all but name? Has the company's dependence on him grown too great? Has he outgrown the original frame that once protected him? There may be no open conflict, no public feud, yet a quiet tension emerges between loyalty and self-respect, gratitude and self-determination. It is here, in this subtle space, that the decision to stay or to move on becomes far more than a matter of legal terms. It becomes a defining moment in a life. If one day Wang Yibo stands completely outside the shadow of his original agency, it is unlikely that he will be satisfied simply signing individual jobs. The groundwork already laid suggests a much broader ambition: to create a network of ventures around his name, values, and strengths. We can imagine a studio that does more than accept acting offers. It could develop its own original projects, from films and series to documentaries that reflect his interests in youth, perseverance, sport, and discipline. Instead of waiting to be cast, he could help choose the stories that deserve to be told and the teams that bring them to life. His passion for motorsport could evolve into something larger: a brand or foundation that supports safe riding, young racers, specialist training, maybe even crossovers between racing and fashion. He could host events that are not only entertainment, but statements about focus, resilience, and responsibility. Beyond creative work, he could build spaces for new artists to grow under fairer, more transparent conditions, informed by his own experience. In that scenario, his journey would not just liberate him. It could reshape the path for those who follow, turning his name from a product into a platform that others can stand on. As things stand, much remains officially unspoken. There is no clear, public announcement confirming whether Wang Yibo will renew his contract or walk away when the time comes. The company maintains a careful tone, he remains professionally focused, and the public is left to interpret scattered signs. Distant social media behavior, shifts in crediting, the presence or absence of a company's name on specific projects. In this silence, possibilities multiply. Perhaps they will renegotiate on new terms. Perhaps he will transition into a different kind of partnership. Perhaps he will choose full independence, relying on the foundations already set by his studio and trademarks. Each scenario carries its own risks and rewards, not only for him and the company, but also for the industry that is watching. What makes this moment significant is not merely the outcome of one contract, but the signal it will send. If someone who has contributed so much decides that traditional arrangements no longer serve him, it will encourage others to re-examine their own agreements. If, instead, a new, more balanced model emerges between him and his agency, it may offer a template for more respectful collaboration. Either way, this is a turning point, not just in a career, but in the ongoing conversation about how creative work, power, and fairness are shared in modern entertainment.